this is a survey, right, that is conducted by the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Singapore in 2019, based on data varies from 2012 to 2016. So you can see that the usage of basic digital tools in Singapore is quite high. It is quite high, so above 80%, right? And in terms of digital platform, e-payment, it is also quite high. E-commerce, maybe 20%, right? Software as a service, right? It is about 50%. So companies are actually using software to provide services. For example, cloud accounting, right? The robotic process automation that I talked to you about. So they are actually using cloud accounting systems. And how about the advanced digital technologies, right? So IoT is about 25%. AI is low, maybe 5%. Data analytics actually about 30%. So this statistics actually is as of 2016. I believe by 2020, these figures are higher. These figures are higher. Okay, the steps for digitalization. I have exampled these 4 steps, and it is quite close to our national recommendations. So first, you do a self-assessment, right, on the state of digitalization. Do a stock take of your operations. How far are you into digitalization? Thereafter, right, you develop a roadmap of digitalization. So you implement the digital solutions in module, right, chunk by chunk, right? And thereafter, you also need to look at developing the needed digital skills so that you can become a digital economy ready. Okay. Over here, right, I have assembled a self-assessment checklist. What I would like you to do is to run through the checklist and see whether are your operations digitalized. So Shalini has helped me to prepare a poll sheet. So maybe you can answer the poll sheet, right? And then let's check the state of the digitalization among the participants of this talk. I'd like you to have some time, say 5 minutes for this. Are you all done? Okay, I'll give you 2 more minutes. Okay, the results are out, and so HR we have 29%, customer relations 30%, accounts 54%, inventory right 27, fleet management 10, right, sales management 37%, workforce management 17, okay, manufacturing system 8%. Um, okay, integrated point of sales, so this applies to retail, so 16%. Web presence, we have a good 61%, that's good. E-marketing, 29%, e-commerce, 12, e-payment, 22, right? Mobile enabled payment, 3%. Mobile enabled payment, right? It is almost above 90% in China. I went to my mother's hometown in China, southern China, and I went to the wet market. The wet market has all the vegetables lying around on the benches, just a half a meter above the floor, and a lot of them have a QR code payment system, so they are paying using WeChat. In a way, right, as a foreigner, when I go there, I do not have a WeChat payment platform. So I look very primitive in China. Okay, so this is about self-assessment checklist. I hope that you find it useful. Like whatever you are weak at in certain areas, it is an opportunity for improvement. Here, right, I have actually extracted this from our national program. So this is the recommended digitalization roadmap for this for retail. Let me see. So it's actually for, let me see, is it retail F&B or F&B? It's for F&B sector. So you can see that this they recommend it in stages, 3 stages altogether, on getting ready. So these are all the basic, right? All the basic digitalization modules that you should have, right? And also the stage 2 will be a little bit more advanced, right? The data analytics, right? IoT enabled central kitchens and so on. And of course, stage 3, right, is leaping ahead, right? So we have sensing video. I mean, the video that sense the behavior of customers, predictive ordering system using AI and so on. So again, right, what you can do is that you can prepare your own digitalization roadmap, and you identify where your weaknesses are and what are the components that you would like to be digitalized. And of course, then after that, you organize them into different stages of automation. And what I would advise is that you must consider integration of all your digitalization modules, because otherwise in future you have problems dealing with a separate module, operating in a silo manner and so on. So this actually is one of the problems of the digitalization process. And the challenges, right, I have picked up from another survey done by the Singapore Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, right? So they conducted this survey in 2019, and these are the various challenges. Cost is too high, yes, it's high, but then in Singapore, there is a subsidy by the government of Singapore. So that will actually help solve the problem. Right? Current businesses are too complex to digitalize. So again, right, maybe you can hire professionals in to help you in the digitalization process. So there are others like lack of resources, the impact of digitalization, competing interests with the current business, right? So we are referring to if you have a brick and mortar retail shop and you set up an online shop, so it's competing with current business. So I think this is a small problem, right? You can do an integration of the brick and mortar and digitalized workplace. And you need an OMI platform to do that, so that digital marketing and the physical marketing are integrated. Difficulties in finding the right vendors, okay, uncertain about which areas to digitalize. Again, you can consult professionals about this. Uncertain about the outcome of digital technology. So that part, I think the professionals can advise whether, and you can look at maybe others who have implemented and to see their performance before and after implementation. Okay, lack of management support. So this is the digitalization challenges. Okay, I personally believe COVID-19 facilitates faster adoption of digital technology. For example, right, this Zoom talk happened in the COVID-19 period. So without COVID-19, we may not have thought of having a Zoom to get a speaker from Singapore 4 hours away, right, differences, and to speak to you in Mauritius. So you have to thank COVID-19 for this, right? And in Singapore, right, we introduced the robotics, right, to replace some of the jobs. So for example, right, let me play this video. So this is a social distancing promotion robot. It is actually placed in one of the parks in Singapore. I don't know whether you can hear the voice that it emits from the robot.
Let's keep Singapore healthy. For your own safety and for those around you, please stand at least 1 meter apart. Thank you.
So the robot actually emits this 1 meter apart message to people. So I think this is a good way where technology is being used. Okay, I have completed my talk. We are now open for questions and answers. So if you have questions, can you put it into the chat area, and François will help you to ask the question.
Yes. Thank you, Kelvin. In fact, we've got a few questions for you, so I will start shooting at you now. for an SMEs, there are many questions about they want to go digital as SMEs, but they do not have the required skills to do it. So is there a platform to train SMEs? Maybe you won't know for Mauritius, but maybe you can tell us how it's being done in Singapore.
In Singapore, we have a lot of digitalization program, a lot of courses. So we have courses to train digital native people. Digital native people means that they are IT experts, digitalization experts. We train them to be engineers, we train them to be consultants, right? So there are very elaborate courses on that. So we also have courses on application of digital technology, and they are all funded at a very high level by the government. So the funding is between 80 to 95%. It depends on the age and the age group and also the earnings and so on. So if you earn below $2,000, your funding will be 95%. If you are above 40, the funding will be around 80%. So the thing is that don't think of digital technology as a big chunk, right? Try to size it up into different modules, right? For example, I would like to introduce customer relations management. Right? Just look at customer relations management and train your relevant staff, right, on this particular module. So you do it step by step, right? I hope that answers the question.
Yes. There's also questions about frameworks. I mean, is there any framework that have been adopted by Singapore to help SMEs to implement this digitalization?
The framework that I showed here, let me see. Yeah, this is the roadmap for F&B. We do have, but we do not have for all the industry. So I think we are still developing the digital roadmaps for all other industries. It's in the progress.
Yes, there's also a question from somebody in the service sector who is in fact a dietitian who gives consultation and diets to the clients, to his or her clients. So that person is asking how to map a proper roadmap when you are in the service sector. Can that be done when you're providing a service?
Well, it can be done. For example, right, you see, not all roadmaps are available. If it's not available, it doesn't mean that that's the end of everything. You can actually develop your own roadmap by adapting, right, from other sectors. For example, if you are saying that you are providing professional services, maybe you can have, for example, right, I use this as an illustration, digital online ordering of your service. So you can sell your service online. They can book online. They can make a payment online. Then you can have a CRM, right, to manage the customers who has just signed up or existing pool of customers to sell them new services and so on. So you can have an automated reservation system online. Go on Crowd so that you don't have to worry about managing the server 24/7, right? So these are the things that you can do. Although this is actually for F&B, but it can be adapted to any other industry. I believe so. All you need to do is you just need to look at your processes, right, and look around for providers, right, of digital solutions. And if you are not sure, you contact a professional to help you to do so. So this is how Singapore does it, and there is a very big pool of digital advisors in Singapore.
In Singapore, there is a question related to what you're saying, Kelvin, about how to find low-cost technology. Can we say that low-cost technology can be used by SMEs? How far is it relevant for SMEs, or is it more a barrier to them to really achieve what they want to achieve with digitalization?
Personally, I believe in low-cost technology. There are alternatives. There are alternatives. For example, right, I was running a non-profit organization, a charity training institution. In fact, Salesforce offered us 10 free license to use the Salesforce, but the cost of implementation is $5,000. So as a charity, we don't have that $5,000 budget. So we decided not to use it. And then we look for an open source kind of platform to help us do it. So I'm sure that there's a lot of alternative, right? Even like, for example, you think that the Microsoft Office is expensive, you can use Open Office, it's free, right? So there are free options, but of course the free platform, right, or the cheaper platform may not give you the full function of an expensive platform. So if you're able to live with that, I think that is fine. I think when you are looking for free resources, bear in mind that cybersecurity is also another factor. In some countries, right, the Personal Data Protection Act is very strong. If your data on your server or on your cloud is being hacked, you might get into trouble. So this is one factor that you have to consider. So cybersecurity, I think in my earlier slide, I list down cybersecurity. So it is also an important area. So the answer is yes, there is alternative.
We have also some viewers from the education sector here, attending this webinar. And one question is about how disruptive will digitalization be for the education sector? Can you enlighten us a little bit about that?
Okay. I happen to teach part-time in a university, so I hope I can answer this question. So the education sector has been moving online, right? And of course, in my university that I teach, which is called the Singapore University of Social Science, we are debating whether to have it face-to-face or go online. So there are two schools of thoughts. Some feel that face-to-face is better. Some feel that online is better. But in the COVID-19 era, everything is online, right? And I just attended a program, a 3-day program. It's all done online. It's all done online. And of course, when it's done online, the delivery is different. You can't speak to the participants and then you tell them, okay, let's form into your group, use a flip chart to do it. So you can't do that, right? So you have to maybe use technology like Zoom, right? Zoom has actually a breakout room, right, where you can break up the students into different rooms, and then they can do the discussions. So as an instructor or lecturer, you can hop from room to room to supervise them. And there is also platforms where they can present, right, the outcome, right, of the discussions and so on. So there are a lot of education applications that can help you to go digital. And I believe the digitalization in the education sector is coming. So whether you like it or not, a lot of universities are using it. And I have seen one of the institution, INSEAD, right, worldwide, that's based in France. So what they did was they organized a course on, I think, I can't remember the course on entrepreneurship or something. And there were about 250 students. 250 students. And each student pay about 2,000 Singapore dollars. So that makes a lot of money. But however, they are able to use a platform to engage the students, and I think education sector can also start to consider using digital technology.
There's also a question from one of our viewers about the challenges of conducting training online, in line with what we're talking about education. So what are the challenges, and eventually are there pitfalls, and how to avoid the pitfalls of training online, of online training?
The training online talks about using technology, right? And you have to be familiar with technology. And of course, in terms of engagement with participants, it's different. For example, right, there are 146 of you now online. Right, if I'm given this avenue to see all your faces, then I have to observe your reaction, your body language, right, to tell whether you have been engaged, or are you still with me, or are you already away from the course. So the challenge is to engage the people. I have been doing online training for, I think, 5 years. I sometimes I find it challenging, but however, if you start to learn the process of managing, for example, using the Zoom, right, to create a lot of activities for the participants to interact with each other, and you yourself interacting with them, I think it should not be a challenge for instructors. In fact, if you ask me now, I find that teaching online is more interesting than face-to-face. I hope I've answered your question. Yeah.
Yes. There's also another question from one of our SMEs stating that they need support. I mean, that was clear from the very beginning. They need support. And then once they are in line with it, the person can invest to improve or grow to become more professional. But the support is really needed, is really asked. So let's say we are in SME. Today we say we want to digitalize our operations, as you mentioned. So what should that SME look for? I mean, looking around, where is the starting point for that SME?
So the starting point is actually you do your assessment of your current operations. I think a simple assessment you can use is a self-assessment checklist, or you can even do a diagnosis of your operations. Right, you can bring in a consultant to diagnose your operations, to identify what are your weak areas, and then from your weak areas you can find whether or not there is digital solutions, right, that can address those weak areas. Then from there, you can actually develop a roadmap. So it is actually quite not that difficult if you follow these 4 steps. Do a self-assessment, right, and that can be done in different levels. Simple self-assessment checklist, or you can list down what are your problem areas, right, and thereafter you see whether a digital solution is available, right. When it's available, you can come up with a roadmap. And usually, if you approach service providers for softwares, systems, and so on, they are able to advise you what can the software do, what can it, how can it resolve some of the problems. But of course, this will bring to the level of whether I should get somebody to customize everything to my operations. That will be expensive. Or can I accommodate the standard package by adjusting some of my processes to be in line with the standard package? Right. Then if you use a standard software package, it will be cheaper. Yeah.
There's one specific question about something you mentioned in your presentation about the horizontal management. Can you elaborate more on it?
So the horizontal management refers to collaboration with your competitors, right? And also because there may be competitors or not exactly competitors, but the competitors look at other areas and so on. So it talks about collaborations. So I think we can use it quite flexibly. We can collaborate with our competitors. Like for me, I do collaborate with my fellow consultants, like who specialize in other areas or who specialize in the same area. So we do collaborate together to take on projects together. Or you can collaborate up and downstream, right? Up and downstream. So I think the fourth point that was mentioned earlier is to be attached to a supply chain. So if it's a up and downstream, it will be a supply chain to be linked back to a supply chain so that when anyone in the supply chain gets the job, you also get the job. So that is actually a very good business effect on this.
Kevin, maybe our viewers don't know, but you've been to Mauritius, I think, a few times now. So you know a little bit about the companies in Mauritius. I mean, your opinion about how easily or how do you think Mauritian companies will be able to embark on this journey to digitalization?
I think Mauritius, if I can remember, right, I have friends who are involved in Mauritian company before. Maybe that is about 20, 30 years ago, right? I think companies in Mauritius, many of them are very resourceful. They are able to tap on the services, right, to improve the operations from all over the world. So right now, I think with the era of the internet, right, and the boom in the Zoom kind of platform, right, we have a meeting to go, Zoom, the Microsoft systems and so on. So I don't think it is that much of a challenge, right, even for an SME in Mauritius. You can actually hire a consultant from Singapore, right, at a very low cost, for example, right, using the modern technology of Zooming for consultation each time. I don't think it is a challenge. And Mauritius is just like Singapore. In Singapore, we have advanced company. We have also very small SME. Some of them are also maybe at the same level as a lot of companies in Mauritius. So there's not much difference. So the question is maybe I would think is the thoughts of the management, of course the CEO, whether or not he would like to introduce digitalization. So I think the first person to convince is the boss of SME, him or herself. So they must see that digitalization will benefit. But I'm sure you would think that digitalization will benefit in the delivery of this talk. Without digitalization, I won't be able to speak to so many of you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelvin. I think we reached the end of this webinar. It's almost after 11, 8 minutes after 11. So we hope our SMEs particularly will now feel a bit more confident to embark on this bandwagon of technology, of digitalization. Thank you, dear viewers, for having tuned in this session. And thank you, Shalini Matavan, for orchestrating everything behind the scene. And our next webinar will be next Tuesday on the 19th with Jayant Murthy, Managing Director of the Kaizen Institute, South Asia and Africa, on how to build the immunity of your business post-COVID. Join us at 10 a.m. next Tuesday. Thank you very much, Kelvin Chan. Stay safe in Singapore.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.